This video is brought to you by Recurrent, an essential EV tool that gives free access to TFL EV viewers in the US. With Recurrent, EV shoppers can check range and battery info on used cars. EV owners can connect to compare their range and battery health to similar vehicles. And EV sellers can use Recurrent to get more money for their sales. With Recurrent, we can find, drive, and sell electric cars positively. Click on the link in the description below to get free access to Recurrent's amazing EV tools.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This name above me may resonate with some of you because a couple decades ago, it used to be part of Acura, and it used to represent one of their very speedy little cars. And here's a little bit of history. That speedy little car, before it was called the RSX, they had another thing called the Integra. Well, guess what? That came back to Acura after they got rid of that name for a while, and now you have the RSX coming back to Acura as well. This is the RSX prototype, and what you're looking at here is one step closer to potential production. Now, in this video, we're going to show you the design of it on the outside. We don't have access to the interior of the vehicle, nor do we have access to any of the technical information, but I can tell you a couple things about it. So, without further ado, let's start with the front end design. I'm gonna hop off camera so you can look at the car, not me. Okay, now this is an all-new front-end design. So what Acura decided to do, well, they're related, is they decided to separate the headlight design from the driving light. And then below that, you're going to see that all blacked out lower valance that leads to what appears to be shutters. And that is really your only entrance into the cooling of the vehicle. See how that looks down there? Well hidden. And I'm pretty sure they're active shutters. Then you have this emblem here, which I want to draw a little bit of attention to because it illuminates when the lights are on. When the lights are off, unfortunately, we can't turn them off because no access. This is sort of a chrome look to it. So even with it shut off, it sparkles. Now let's talk about the hood design because they did something kind of cool. I've seen other cars do this before. And by the way, this color is phenomenal. Look at this design. See how it's etched down there and then it drops into this bowl? This shoots back and follows the line just to the windshield. And then from there, there's a secondary line right down here. I'm gonna try not to touch it too much. And this shoots across all the way to the tail. So you can follow that all the way down. Now finishing off the front end of the vehicle, you still have the very Acura design of these large sections here, but see, this is actually functional. That is an air duct that leads to the front wheel. Aha, front wheel you say? That looks mighty big, and it is, because that is a 21-inch wheel with extremely large Brembo brakes up front. Once again, and I'm gonna say this probably 3 or 4 times, this vehicle has a lot of components on it that may or may not make it to production. That's including these giant wheels. However, to me, it makes sense that they would because it really fills out this archway nicely. Behind this door is a NACS plug. That's right, they're doing all Tesla NACS charging for these vehicles in the upcoming future, meaning that you can go to a charger at a Tesla supercharging station and plug in. But remember that this vehicle is part of a very large sphere of automakers, the Iona setup, which is 7 automakers, including Honda, Acura, that have built charging stations and are building charging stations throughout the United States. And that means that you will have more access to more chargers for vehicles like this. In addition, you will have, in case you have a different charger, a plug that you can pop in there as an adapter and plug in, no problem. In addition, in order to kind of keep it SUV-ish, I guess, they have this black trim that goes up and over the wheel arch. So that, I guess, kind of gives it less of a, I don't know, wagon look and more of an SUV look. And then that continues in this lower rocker that goes across. But before we go too far, I wanted to bring your attention to this. Elon would be happy. I'm not even trying to be joking on this one because Tesla tried desperately to get these rear view cameras in their American vehicles, and the US said, no, you have to have mirrors. So I would assume, at the very least, that there will be a side view mirror on both sides. That makes sense. A couple things, once again, things that don't make production. or might not make production, but should, this two-tone paint design. So you got this outstanding yellow design, and then just this color, so good. But then you have this black roof, and I think this is really cool. But look at the way near the back that they had to cut this. So they had to go in here in order to make the cut so it lined up with this split here, right? And I have a feeling that that might be one of the reasons they may consider ixnaying this, but I hope they don't. I hope this stays. The roof is all glass. We don't know whether or not it has any particular type of dimmer or shade or whatnot. Once again, no access. Now, let's talk about the doors because I wanted to point out something very important. This vehicle is size-wise smaller than the current ZDX, another name from the past. But this has all Honda chemistry. That means everything from the double wishbone front suspension, the dual electric motors, the LG battery, all of that is in-house for Honda. It's made in Ohio. It's a US-built vehicle. Now, if you remember a while ago, we did a video with the Honda Zero, their upcoming series of all-electric vehicles. But more importantly, we also talked about Osmo, which is their new proprietary system used for tech, and that involves everything. And that keeps an eye on you. Bear in mind, this is AI infused, so it has everything from obviously over-the-air updates, which can keep the car healthy, but also it keeps an eye on you, looks at your driving habits, your listening habits, your overall well-being, and it feeds into the system, making the car tailor-made to the way you drive. Now, these doors, I'm noticing, actually are pretty good size. Now, why is that important? Well, front door, come on, you know, everybody can fit in the front of a car. In the back, look how wide it goes. I am thrilled to see this. And also, even though it does have a fastback design, if you look carefully, you can see there's actually a pretty decent amount of space potentially for the inside. So this wide door, that space, could mean that a fastback design has finally been built in order for large people to actually fit in the back seat. We'll see in the future when/if this makes production. It's coming, I'm sure of it. So let's go towards the back. Once again, you have the arches just like the front, and I really do think that the way that this fills out this well, look at that. I think it just sits beautifully. This is my own opinion. I know some of you guys are like, oh, no, it looks like a Hyundai or something, which it doesn't. But say what you will, this design and this color, I like it. And it also goes for more function. So there is an open area back here behind the tire that leads this air vent here, allowing for better aerodynamics. And you're going to see more of that in the future. A lot of other automakers have discovered having that air, the way it curls around to the back of the vehicle, is good for overall performance and for a lower drag coefficient, which of course we don't have the number on this. Now that we're back, in the back, I can show you a couple things. This is new for Acura, and this is a hint at what they're going to be doing in the future. Actually, the whole car's design is a hint at what they're looking at with future design. Check out this LED setup here that goes all the way from the side. So this here repeats the design of the front end of the vehicle, and I like it when they balance like that. So you have that design, and then all the way across to the other side, once again, mimicking a little bit of the design of the front, giving it, I think, really good rear weight. But there's something else I wanted to show you that I think is super cool. Check this out. You have to look at a certain angle to really see it. This is an integrated spoiler of sorts. It's a ducktail, and as you can see, kicks up just a little bit right there. I think that's super cool, and I'm sure it's effective at some sort of aero. Once again, no word on it. Also, you can clearly see that this has a hinge all the way over here for the lift back. So I don't know how much space is in there, but I like the fact that it lifts back so far. You know, we saw something similar to this when we were looking at the new Honda Prelude and the way its lift back looks, but can't talk much about that right now. You'll have to see the video. I bet you're wondering about competition. There's plenty of it in the future. Now, keep in mind, Acura really represents performance with luxury, and that has been their brand identity for 40 years. That's correct. This actually celebrates 40 years of Acura, the name. So, What does it compete against? Well, you got Tesla, you got BMW, Mercedes-Benz, you've got Genesis, and you have Lexus. And that's just to name a few. This is a vehicle that's going to go against them in terms of hardcore performance, we can already tell. But the real question is, how is it on the inside? We're going to find out in the future. But I can tell you this color name, which I am utterly in love with, is called Propulsion Yellow. Okay, so let's look and wind this up. So there's a couple questions out there about when is this going into production, how much it's going to cost, how efficient is it? We really don't have any real answers other than this is coming late 2026. Pricing? No idea. Is it less expensive than the current ZDX? No idea. But it is smaller. That's about all we got. So I'm curious to what you guys think. Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for joining me. What do you think of this design? I'll see you guys next time.